Hello, I'm Tommy Calloway, and today I'm going to review 3 different lav microphones, and I'm also going to be comparing them against my studio microphone. So, full disclosure, I already did this review, and I watched all the footage, I listened to all the sound of all the mics provided, and I processed all the sound, and I listened to how they all sound processed. But the video was really boring to watch, so I'm redoing it in kind of a more fun vlog format. And if the screen is shaking a little bit, even with the in-body image stabilization, it's because I'm vlogging with the Sigma 18-35 and the small HD focus, which is extremely heavy, and I don't recommend doing. God, it feels like it's 14 pounds, and it gets really heavy really fast, so I've got to make this video pretty quick. So we've got 4 different mics. The Maono, which is the cheapest, and the wired option that goes straight to your camera. It does not have an XLR option. So I wanted to record this into my Zoom H6 with the XLR cable, but it didn't have one, so I had to use I had to actually plug it into my camera. Fortunately, the GH5, the camera that it's plugged into, does have pretty good preamps, so it'll sound as best as it can, I imagine. The pros about this mic is it's cheap. It's probably about 40 bucks. Cons is it's not wireless, so you have about 10 feet of cable. So as long as you're within 10 feet or whatever, maybe it's 10 meters. As long as you're within 10 meters of your camera, then you'll be okay. Anything further away from that, then you need to get a wireless mic. Now, it does have a little switchy thing on it right here, which it can go to smartphones or to cameras, and it has a little battery for cameras. Basically, it provides itself a little bit of power. If you're plugging it into a smartphone, it does not need that little power switch. Whew, man, this thing's getting heavy. All right, the second mic that we're going to test right now is the Comica CVM-WM100, and that one, here's my setup, by the way. So we've got the Zoom H6 here. Here's the Comica CVM-WM100, and we've got the Sony UWP-D11 wireless lav system here, both plugged into the Zoom H6 and all plugged in on my shirt right here. And I've got one lav system on this pocket, one lav system on this pocket. And what that's going to allow me to do, since I have the receivers plugged into the Zoom H6, is I'll be able to walk down to my garage, and then we can see how each of these 2 are receiving separately while you still see my face on the camera. All right, so the Comica. What I found from my initial testing is that although it is one of the cheaper options to get you into a wireless lav system, you do lose a little bit of fidelity on the sound, especially on the low end, and it does make your voice sound a little bit tinny. Also, it has the transmission quality, once you start going through a few different walls, you'll start dropping off on sound quality. Now, let's move on to the Sony, the UWP-D11. Now, this is one of the more expensive lav mic systems, but it's also what they call, I guess, broadcast quality, meaning that you get very high quality sound out of it, and it also transmits through walls. It has one of the more advanced radio transmission systems of some kind. So once you start going through walls, which we're going to test here in a second, you'll still be able to receive sound in a very high quality. Now, the hottest mic by far of all of these is definitely the one that's straight plugged into the camera. And if you do not want to edit your sound by hand using Adobe Audition or any of the tools in Premiere, then this will be probably the best option for you because it is the loudest and probably the easiest to deal with. But if you do process your sound, you're going to get a lot higher quality sound out of the Sony. I would say the wired system also has better sound quality so the cheap wired one has better sound quality than the wireless Comica CVM-WM100, simply because it's wired, and the Comica receivers are very cheap and plasticky, and it is the easiest option for you to get into a wireless system. So the Sony is by far the best of all of them, unless you move on to straight up wired microphone, in like a studio microphone, to a mixer, into like a Zoom H6 or something like this. Now, you can't take that with you everywhere, and it looks kind of silly having a studio microphone plugged into a Zoom H6, walking around with that. Now, I suppose you could do that if you were really motivated, but it looks silly. All right, we're gonna do the range test right now. Whew, man, this thing's getting super heavy. All right, so again, I have the little wired mic plugged into my camera, and if I was already over here, I'd be out of range and it would stop working. There's my tripod over there. So at this point, I'm going to start using just my Comica and the Sony. All right, so now we're walking down the hallway, and you can see my office over there. And I look like a really cool vlogger. My wife has definitely never seen me like this. Hey babe, what's going on? All right, cool. So now we're in my garage, and it is probably 3 or 4 different walls away from me. So I don't know how the sound quality is going to be on either of the mics. So right now we're going to test the Sony. So this is just a sound test on the Sony through several different walls. And now we're going to do a sound test on the Comica CVM-WM100. And my best bet is the Sony has much better receiving capabilities at this distance. I bet you the Comica has cut out quite a bit by now. Let's run back upstairs. All right, my shoulders hurt. I don't know how the knee stat guy does this. That was my little sound quality comparison with a little bit of a range test. Again, my thoughts are, if you don't have much of a budget and you just want to increase the quality of your audio, get something wired. If you need a wireless system to where you can walk really far away from your camera, if you don't have the budget, get the Comica because that'll get you into the wireless system without spending more than a couple $100. If you've got a budget to blow and you want to get the highest quality sound possible, get the Sony UWP-D11 or whatever it's called. Can't even think. My shoulder is so tired right now. And for the record, you can plug both the Comica and the Sony wireless lav mics directly into your camera. I just figured that they'd have a better chance of having an equal opportunity of showing you the quality if they're plugged into the Zoom H6, because I can monitor the levels equally there. And this is what the in-camera audio sounds like. So usually any lav mic is generally an upgrade from the in-camera provided audio. However, you can also process the audio that you capture from your in-camera mic, and it doesn't sound all that bad, especially if you get really, really close to your camera. And a couple final closing thoughts here on all these different mics. The wired system is the hottest and the easiest to just get going with. Sony, by far, most expensive. Also the easiest one to process as far as sound quality is concerned. The Comica was definitely the hardest sound to process. You needed to do, I had to spend the most time on it to make it sound good. Even then, the wired version was a lot easier to work with. But by far, the Sony was a treat. So if you have the budget, get the Sony. If you don't, get what you can afford. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you liked this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Give me a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. So you may be wondering why I'm wearing the sailor's hat. My family just went on a cruise with our friends, the Fergusons, Jenny Lee, Matt, Mackenzie, Matthew, Natalie, and Nathan. They all watch my videos all the time, so I promised I would do a shout out. Thanks for watching, guys.